Hello and welcome back to the Bourbon Bar. I'm Holden, and tonight, I'm going to bring you guys a review of something that I've been delving into recently that I haven't been doing a lot of in the past. And this is something that, like I said, I'm just getting into, but I really am enjoying, and that would be beer. Now, for those of you who don't know, if it's not apparent in my name, I'm mainly a bourbon or whiskey channel. I do a lot of whiskey based stuff. Usually the cocktails that I make are very whiskey based and that kind of stuff. Now, this beer that I will be drinking tonight is still a whiskey based beer, but it's something that I has kind of gotten me into the realm of beers a lot more. Now, while beer reviews aren't something that I'll be doing a lot of on this channel, it is something that I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about, mainly because I really enjoy this particular beer from a local Wisconsin brewery, and it's called Whiskey Business, and it's a stout aged in Buffalo Trace barrels. Alright, now, this beer is from Badger State Brewery in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is just in the shadow of the great Lambeau Field, where the Packers play, if I'm sure most of you have heard of it. But this is, it's called Whiskey Business, and it is an imperial stout aged in whiskey barrels, Buffalo Trace whiskey barrels to be exact. It is 10% ABV, and it is my favorite beer that I've ever drank. They do have multiple kinds of it. This one in particular is just their regular kind, and they do make a chocolate pecan pie kind, which is also very good. But I'm just going to be reviewing the regular one today because these are very high alcohol, high ABV beers. So if I drink more than one, I'll probably end up getting a little bit tipsy on this. And I just got done filming a live stream, so that would be less than ideal after drinking 4 glasses of cask strength whiskey. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and crack this open here. Now, we're going to go ahead and pour this. And for those of you who don't know, imperial stouts are usually a heavier, darker beer, and the way you taste beer is actually very similar to tasting whiskey. A lot of people don't realize this, but the way you taste beer does have a lot to do with the nose and the palate and the finish, all the same as whiskey. You give it some swirls. This is not the ideal tasting glass for beer. An actual beer glass for tasting does look very similar to a Glencairn. I don't have one, so I'm just using my birthday mug from a bar that I went to on my 22nd birthday. But the concept is still the same. Give it some swirls, get your nose up in it, smell it, get some notes, taste it, enjoy it, that kind of thing. So starting off, we're going to go ahead and get the nose of this beer. The first thing that I notice is it has like this orangey flavor to it, this orangey nose to it. Definitely like a chocolatey, malty deliciousness going on. A lot of like that oak influence from the whiskey barrels is in there. It's almost got like that sweet fruitiness, not quite from like, not that orange fruity that I said in the beginning, but like also some kind of like sweet fruit like strawberries, probably coming since it is a Buffalo Trace barrel. It smells really heavy, something that's going to be sitting in your stomach for a while, very rich, viscous. I mean, you can almost smell the texture of this beer, which is really interesting. It doesn't smell a whole lot like other beers that I've had. If any of you guys have had Guinness, it's kind of the same family, and that's stout family. But Guinness is very easy to drink, light, thin, low ABV. This is definitely thicker, heavier. It's going to be in your stomach for a while. It's going to make you drunker than normal, and it's very good. The nose on it is really phenomenal. It's kind of got this like malty, chocolatey orange to it. Super nice. I'm going to go ahead and get on the palate though and let you guys know how that is. So this one isn't super hoppy. There's not a lot of bitterness to this. I shouldn't say there's not a lot of bitterness. There is a lot of bitterness, but it's not like the same kind of bitterness that you get from like some of those really hoppy beers. It's more like a chocolatey bitter, like kind of how if you had like a cocoa powder, the way cocoa powder is bitter, but it still has like that sweetness coming through with like that orange chocolate sweetness, but it's a little bit dry from like the oak tannins and stuff like that. There's definitely a little bit of a sweet coffee note in there, just like most stouts have that like nice coffee note that's coming from the beer side of things. You're definitely getting a little bit more of that. There's not a very large head. I mean, the way I poured it is favorable to not having a large head on this one. But overall, I haven't seen them to have that large of a head compared to if you had like a light beer. Overall, this is like very, very, very good. I don't, like I said, I don't drink a lot of beer, but it's something that I've kind of been getting more into, and this is by far the favorite one that I've had so far. Yeah, I think if you guys are gonna go down the beer route, you should definitely figure out which beer you like first. There's a lot of different kinds, between IPAs, stouts, porters, generic lagers and ales, light, dark, stuff like that. You're going to want to figure out what fits your flavor profile the most. However, for most of you who are watching me, especially all you bourbon drinkers out there and whiskey drinkers, I have a feeling that you're probably going to be reaching more toward the porters and stout side of things, because that just kind of falls on our familiarity of palate a little bit easier than the other beers do. And overall, it's like just a really good beer to drink. I think it's something that you sip. You definitely don't drink it fast. Don't chug it because it's going to suck if you do. But it's definitely something, it's going to take you a good hour to drink. It's one of those beers where like at room temperature, you actually get maybe a little bit more flavor, and you don't want it to be super cold when you're drinking it. I know some people have their personal preference, whether they want their beer ice cold or room temperature. But in my opinion, if you need to have your beer be ice cold, then it's not that great of a beer. And that being said, it is your personal preference, and I'm going to go ahead and take another sip, and then I'm going to give it a grade for you guys. Overall, this beer is great. I mean, like I said, best beer I've ever had. I'm going to give it a grade out of 10 on the scale, the same one that I use for whiskey. It's not going to be as strict as the whiskey scale because, like I said, I'm not a huge beer fanatic. But as of right now, out of all the beers I've had, this beer has got to have a 9.3 out of 10. It hits all the home bases for me. It covers all those dark aspects that I really enjoy, but still has a lot of that sweet richness that I enjoy. It's super thick and creamy on the way down. High alcohol percentage, which is something that I thoroughly enjoy, and overall just great familiar notes for me as a whiskey drinker. The fact that it's aged in Buffalo Trace barrels also is very intriguing to me. People love throwing around that Buffalo Trace name, but not a lot of beer companies have it. I know Bourbon County I think it's called Bourbon County or Goose Island. I think that's what it's called, something like that. They do their, aged in bourbon barrels stuff, and they have a couple different barrels, but it's just really interesting to see what a Buffalo Trace barrel will do to a good stout like this. So overall, very, very good. And for those of you who wanted to know, the chocolate pecan pie version of this beer is also very phenomenal. It's a little bit lighter, but it definitely has that like chocolate caramel pecan like sweet pie notes, while this one has a little bit more of that generic like stout malty chocolate woody oak notes. Overall, they're both phenomenal. If you ever get the chance, if you're in Wisconsin, if you get the chance, or you're in Green Bay and you want to go to a brewery, have a couple good beers, definitely check out Badger State. brewery. It's phenomenal. Great stuff that they're doing over there, and I honestly can't wait until they come out with more. So that being said, this is the end of the video, and it was an interesting one being beer and all, but if you guys also like beer as much as you like bourbon, definitely let me know in the comments, what is your favorite kind of beer? Do you like stouts, porters, IPAs? What's your favorite kind, and what's your favorite beer brand in general? That being said, definitely hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next class. Cheers.